The family photograph arrived at the San Francisco Historical Society in September 2024, part of an extensive estate donation from the descendants of the Morrison family, longtime residents of the city's prestigious Pacific Heights neighborhood. Among dozens of carefully preserved documents and memorabilia spanning 4 generations, museum archivist Dr. Lisa Chen discovered a formal family portrait that would soon expose one of the most chilling cases of mass poisoning in early 20th century California. The large format photograph, measuring 11-14 inches and mounted on luxurious embossed cardboard, showed what appeared to be a prosperous family celebrating a special occasion. The studio mark on the reverse read, "Hartwell and Associates Fine Photography, San Francisco, California, November 22, 1903. The image depicted 7 family members arranged in the elegant parlor of what was clearly an affluent home, with elaborate Victorian furnishings and expensive decorative objects visible in the background. At the center of the composition sat a young girl of approximately 9 years old, captured in a moment of genuine, infectious laughter. Unlike the formal, serious expressions typical of early 1900s photography, this child was caught mid-giggle, her face lit up with pure joy and mischief. The girl, identified from estate documents as Rose Morrison, wore an exquisite white dress, with intricate lace trim, and held what appeared to be a small wrapped gift in her lap. The photograph was remarkable for its time because it captured such spontaneous emotion, Dr. Chen initially observed. Most Victorian and Edwardian portraits show subjects with serious, composed expressions due to the long exposure times required. This image was clearly taken by someone with exceptional skill to freeze such a moment of natural joy. Surrounding Rose were her family members, her parents, James and Catherine Morrison, her older sister Elizabeth, 14, her younger brother Thomas, 7, and her grandparents Edward and Margaret Whitmore. All appeared well-dressed and prosperous, suggesting a family celebrating either a birthday or holiday gathering. What Dr. Chen couldn't have anticipated was that this photograph of apparent familial happiness had been taken during the final hour of 6 family members' lives, and that Rose's laughter had been triggered by something far more sinister than childhood joy. Dr. Chen was preparing the Morrison family photograph for the museum's digital archive when she decided to examine it, under high-resolution scanning equipment, to capture the finest details for preservation. Using the Society's advanced digital enhancement technology, she focused on the family members' faces to ensure optimal image quality. What she discovered in Rose's eyes would fundamentally change everything she thought she knew about the photograph. Under extreme magnification, Rose's eyes revealed something that defied immediate explanation. Reflected in both corneas, barely visible but unmistakably present, was the image of what appeared to be a medicine bottle, but not just any bottle. The reflection showed a dark glass vessel with a distinctive skull and crossbones symbol clearly visible on its label. At first, I thought it might be a photographic anomaly, or perhaps some kind of optical illusion, Dr. Chen later explained. But when I enhanced the image using modern digital techniques, the reflection became unmistakably clear. There was definitely a poison bottle visible in this child's eyes during what should have been a moment of pure happiness. The discovery became more disturbing as Dr. Chen realized what the reflection implied. For such a detailed image of a poison bottle to appear in both of Rose's eyes simultaneously, it would have had to be positioned directly in front of her during the photography session. Yet the formal family portrait showed no such object anywhere in the frame. Further digital enhancement revealed additional troubling details. While Rose's laughter appeared completely genuine and spontaneous, careful examination of the other family members' faces showed subtle signs of distress that became apparent only under magnification. Her father's hands showed a slight tremor. Her mother's smile appeared forced, and her grandparents' eyes held a glazed quality that suggested they were not entirely lucid. Most disturbing of all was the timing notation found in the photographer's original notes preserved with the image. 11:30 a.m. Family celebration photograph. Note: subjects requested multiple exposures, unusual urgency about completion. Dr. Chen began to suspect that this photograph had captured something far more sinister than a family celebration. It might have preserved evidence of a mass poisoning in progress. Dr. Chen's investigation into the Morrison family background revealed a complex web of wealth, business disputes, and carefully hidden family tensions. James Morrison had been one of San Francisco's most successful import merchants, with extensive business interests in tea, spices, and medicinal products from Asia. The family lived in a mansion on Pacific Heights and was actively involved in the city's social and philanthropic circles. However, newspaper archives from 1903 revealed that the Morrison family had been embroiled in a bitter inheritance dispute with Catherine's father, Edward Whitmore. Whitmore, a successful pharmaceutical manufacturer, had recently changed his will to leave his considerable fortune to his daughter Catherine rather than to his business partners, causing significant controversy within the family's extended circle. Legal. Documents preserved in the San Francisco Superior Court archives showed that several of Whitmore's business associates had challenged the new will, claiming that Whitmore was not mentally competent to make such decisions. The case had been scheduled for court hearings in December 1903, just weeks after the family photograph was taken. What made the inheritance dispute particularly significant was the nature of Whitmore's business, Dr. Chen noted. He manufactured and imported various medicinal compounds, including several that were highly toxic in larger doses. Business records from Whitmore Pharmaceutical Company revealed that Edward Whitmore had been experimenting with new formulations for common medicines, including treatments for digestive ailments and nervous conditions. His private laboratory contained an extensive collection of chemical compounds, many of which were lethal in concentrations higher than prescribed therapeutic doses. Most significantly, Dr. Chen discovered a letter from Edward Whitmore to his daughter Catherine, dated November 20th, 1903, just 2 days before the family photograph was taken. "My dearest Catherine, I fear that my former business partners may attempt to prevent our family from receiving what is rightfully ours. I have taken precautions to ensure that no one can interfere with my final wishes." The letter's ominous tone suggested that Whitmore had been planning something drastic to resolve the inheritance dispute permanently. Estate records and family correspondence revealed that the November 22, 1903 photograph had been taken during a special Thanksgiving gathering that Edward Whitmore had organized at the Morrison family home. Invitations preserved in the family papers showed that Whitmore had specifically invited only immediate family members, excluding the business associates who had been challenging his will. Catherine Morrison's diary, discovered among the estate documents, provided insight into the unusual nature of the gathering. "Father insisted that we have a family portrait taken during today's celebration. He seems unusually excited about something, almost manic in his planning. He brought several bottles of his new medicinal tonic and insisted that everyone try it before the photograph." The diary revealed that Edward Whitmore had presented his new tonic as a family blessing, a special formulation he claimed would ensure the family's health and prosperity for generations to come. He had brought enough bottles for each family member and had insisted that everyone drink the tonic as part of a ceremonial toast before the photographer arrived. "Father was very particular about the timing," Catherine had written. "He wanted the photograph taken exactly 30 minutes after we all consumed the tonic, claiming it would give us a special glow that would make the portrait memorable." The diary entries revealed that Rose had been particularly excited about the celebration, not because of the family gathering itself, but because her grandfather had promised her a special surprise that would make her laugh with joy. The child had been instructed to look directly at the surprise when the photographer took the picture. "Rose keeps asking about grandfather's surprise," Catherine wrote. "Father tells her to be patient, that she will see something wonderful that will make her the happiest little girl in San Francisco. The way he says it makes me somewhat uneasy, but I suppose I am being overly cautious." The final diary entry before the photograph was particularly ominous. "Father has arranged all the medicine bottles on the mantelpiece behind where the photographer will stand. He says they represent his life's work and should be visible in our family portrait. Rose cannot stop staring at them and giggling about something." Dr. Chen's investigation led her to the business records of Hartwell and Associates Fine Photography, the studio that had taken the Morrison family portrait. Among the company's archived materials, she discovered the personal notes of photographer William Hartwell, whose detailed observations about the November 22, 1903 session provided crucial insight into what had actually occurred that morning. The Morrison Family Commission was unlike any portrait session I had ever conducted, Hartwell had written in his professional diary. The family patriarch, Mr. Whitmore, was in an extremely agitated state, constantly checking his pocket watch and making references to timing that seemed unrelated to photography. Hartwell's notes revealed that Edward Whitmore had been very specific about the positioning of certain objects in the background of the photograph, particularly a collection of medicine bottles that he insisted must be visible in the final image. Mr. Whitmore arranged his pharmaceutical bottles with obsessive precision, the photographer noted. He claimed they were part of his legacy and must be prominently featured. Most disturbing was Hartwell's observation about the family's behavior. During the session, several family members appeared to be experiencing some form of physical distress. The adults seemed slightly disoriented, and young Master Thomas appeared drowsy. However, Miss Rose was unusually animated, almost euphoric, which created a stark contrast with the others' conditions. The photographer had documented his growing concern about the family's welfare. I suggested postponing the session when I noticed that Mrs. Morrison appeared unwell, but Mr. Whitmore became agitated and insisted we proceed immediately. He kept saying that timing was crucial and that we could not delay. Hartwell's most significant observation concerned Rose's behavior during the actual photography. Just before I took the exposure, Mr. Whitmore held up one of his medicine bottles directly in front of Miss Rose and told her to look at the pretty label. The child burst into laughter at something she saw, though I could not determine what had amused her so greatly. The photographer's final note about the session was particularly chilling. As I was packing my equipment, Mr. Whitmore approached me and said, "You have just documented the end of our family's problems." I found his statement confusing and somewhat unsettling. Dr. Chen's investigation uncovered Edward Whitmore's personal laboratory journals, which had been preserved as evidence in the subsequent police investigation. These documents revealed the methodical planning behind what would become known as the Morrison family tragedy. Whitmore's journal entries from October and November 1903 showed a man who had become obsessed with preventing his business partners from obtaining any portion of his estate. "They believe they can steal what I have built," he wrote, "but I will ensure that my true family inherits everything, even if it means we must all depart this world together." The journals detailed Whitmore's development of what he called the final solution, a compound that combined several of his pharmaceutical products to create a delayed action poison. "The beauty of my formulation is its subtlety," he wrote. "The effects begin gradually, creating a sense of euphoria and well-being before the final stage. No one will suspect anything until it is far too late." Most chilling was Whitmore's plan for the family photograph. "I will document our final moment together as a happy family. Rose will be particularly delighted when she sees the special label I have created for her bottle, a drawing of angels welcoming children to heaven. She will laugh with joy at the beautiful picture, not understanding its true meaning." The journal revealed that Whitmore had created custom labels for each family member's poison bottle, with roses featuring cheerful angels and hearts. He believed that showing her the label during the photograph would create a moment of innocent joy that would be preserved forever, even as the poison began its deadly work. "The irony is perfect," Whitmore had written. "Rose will die laughing at the very symbol of her own death, and the photograph will capture her joy for eternity. Future generations will see a happy child, never knowing that her laughter came from looking at her own murder weapon." Whitmore's final journal entry, dated November 21, 1903, confirmed his intentions. "Tomorrow we gather as a family for the last time. The tonic is prepared, the labels are ready, and the photographer is scheduled. By evening, the inheritance dispute will be permanently resolved, and my dear family will be free from the corruption of this world." Police records from the San Francisco Police Department provided the official account of what transpired at the Morrison family home on November 22, 1903. The investigation, led by Detective Inspector Robert O'Sullivan, revealed the systematic nature of Edward Whitmore's mass poisoning plan. "We arrived at the Morrison residence at approximately 2:30 p.m. following a report from the photographer, Mr. Hartwell, who had become concerned about the family's welfare," Inspector O'Sullivan wrote in his report. Upon entering the home, we discovered 7 individuals in various stages of distress from what appeared to be poisoning. The police investigation revealed that Edward Whitmore had served his poison tonic to each family member during a ceremonial toast at 11 a.m., exactly 30 minutes before the photographer arrived. The compound he had created was designed to produce initial euphoria, followed by progressive organ failure over several hours. The scene we encountered was both tragic and bizarre, O'Sullivan noted. Most family members were unconscious or semi-conscious, but young Miss Rose was still alert and seemed almost deliriously happy. She kept pointing to a medicine bottle and laughing, saying that, "Grandfather showed me the prettiest angels." The police report documented the progression of the poisoning as reconstructed through witness testimony and physical evidence. Mr. Whitmore had administered different concentrations of the poison based on body weight and age. Young Miss Rose, being the smallest, had received a dose calculated to take effect more slowly, allowing her to remain conscious and animated during the photography session. Inspector O'Sullivan's investigation revealed that Whitmore had specifically planned for Rose to be the last to succumb, believing that her innocent laughter in the photograph would serve as his final act of revenge against those who had tried to challenge his will. We found Mr. Whitmore's journal detailing his entire plan. The report stated, he had orchestrated the poisoning with scientific precision, timing each family member's dose to ensure they would all appear happy and healthy during the photograph, while the poison was already beginning its lethal work. The police discovered that only Rose survived the initial poisoning, living for several more hours while repeatedly asking to see the angel bottle that had made her laugh during the photograph. Medical records from San Francisco General Hospital documented Rose Morrison's final hours, providing insight into the horrific effects of her grandfather's poison and the tragic irony of her survival instincts. Dr. Marcus Thompson, the attending physician, documented her condition upon arrival at the hospital. Patient Rose Morrison, age 9, arrived conscious but exhibiting signs of severe poisoning, Dr. Thompson wrote. Despite her critical condition, the child remained remarkably alert and continued to express joy about something she had seen during the family photograph. She repeatedly asked nurses to show her the angel bottle with the pretty pictures. The medical records revealed that Rose's smaller body weight had resulted in a more gradual absorption of the poison, giving her several additional hours of consciousness that her family members had not experienced. During this time, she repeatedly recounted the events of the morning to hospital staff. Patient described seeing beautiful angels on a bottle that her grandfather showed her, Dr. Thompson noted. She states that the angels were flying to heaven to welcome little children, and that seeing them made her the happiest girl in the world. Patient appears unaware that other family members are deceased. Hospital staff documented Rose's persistent request to see the poison bottle again, not understanding that the angels she had found so delightful were actually symbols of death that her grandfather had designed specifically to amuse her during her final moments. The child's innocence in the face of such calculated evil is heartbreaking, Dr. Thompson wrote. She continues to laugh when recounting what she saw, having no comprehension that her grandfather designed those images to mock her impending death. Nurse Margaret Sullivan, who attended Rose during her final hours, provided additional details about the child's condition. Little Rose kept asking if the angels on the bottle were coming to take her to see her family. She seemed excited about the prospect, having no understanding of what death actually meant. Rose Morrison died at 6:47 p.m. on November 22, 1903, approximately 8 hours after consuming her grandfather's poison. Her final words, according to hospital records, were, "Tell grandfather I saw the angels, and they made me so happy." The investigation into Edward Whitmore's mass murder revealed the depth of his calculated cruelty and the systematic way he had planned the destruction of his own family. Police discovered extensive evidence in his laboratory that showed months of preparation for what he viewed as the perfect crime. Detective Inspector O'Sullivan's final report documented the scope of Whitmore's planning. Subject had prepared detailed chemical analyses of each poison dose, timing charts for the progression of symptoms, and even drafted obituaries for each family member. This was not an act of passion, but a methodical execution plan. The investigation revealed that Whitmore had tested his poison formula on stray animals to perfect the timing and dosage. His laboratory notes contained detailed observations about the effects of various concentrations, with particular attention to creating a compound that would allow for a period of euphoria before death. Mr. Whitmore's journals reveal a man who had become completely obsessed with control, Inspector O'Sullivan wrote. He could not accept that his business partners might successfully challenge his will, so he chose to eliminate all potential beneficiaries rather than risk losing control of his estate. The most disturbing discovery was Whitmore's collection of custom poison bottle labels, each designed specifically for individual family members. Rose's label featured dancing angels with flowing ribbons, while her parents' bottles showed peaceful, pastoral scenes. Each label was crafted to appear beautiful and comforting while representing death. Subject had spent considerable time creating what he called beautiful death imagery, the report noted. He believed that if his family members died while looking at something beautiful, their deaths would be more peaceful, and his crime would be somehow sanctified. The investigation also revealed that Whitmore had planned to survive the poisoning himself by taking an antidote he had developed. However, he had miscalculated the formula and died along with his intended victims, making Rose the sole survivor of his murderous scheme. Legal documents showed that with all family members deceased, Whitmore's estate passed to the state of California, meaning that his elaborate plan to prevent his business partners from inheriting his wealth had ultimately succeeded, though not in the way he had intended. Dr. Chen's investigation into the Morrison family photograph concluded with the publication of a comprehensive study that examined how early 20th century photography could preserve evidence of crimes that would otherwise remain hidden. The case became a landmark in forensic photography and criminal investigation techniques. The photograph itself was placed in the San Francisco Historical Society's special collection on criminal evidence, with detailed documentation of its significance as both historical artifact and forensic evidence. The image serves as a chilling reminder of how moments of apparent joy can mask the presence of evil. This photograph captures the ultimate perversion of family love, Dr. Chen wrote in her published research. Edward Whitmore used a child's innocence and trust to create a moment of happiness during her own murder, then preserved that moment for posterity as his final act of cruelty. Forensic photography experts used the case to demonstrate how modern, digital enhancement techniques could extract evidence from historical photographs that was invisible to period investigators. The reflection in Rose's eyes provided crucial evidence about the method and timing of the poisoning. The technology of 1903 accidentally preserved evidence that we can now extract using 21st century digital analysis, Dr. Chen explained. Rose's eyes captured the image of her murder weapon during her final moment of joy, creating a permanent record of her grandfather's calculated evil. The case also became significant in the study of criminal psychology, as experts examined how Whitmore had deliberately incorporated his victim's happiness into his murder plan. The contrast between Rose's genuine laughter and the deadly reality it represented became a subject of extensive analysis. Edward Whitmore didn't just want to kill his family, noted criminal psychologist Dr. James Patterson. He wanted to corrupt their final moments, to ensure that even their joy was part of his control over them. The photograph shows a child laughing at her own death warrant, which was exactly what he intended. The Morrison family tragedy led to significant reforms in estate law and the regulation of pharmaceutical compounds in California. New legislation required additional oversight of will disputes and stricter controls on access to potentially lethal chemical compounds. Rose Morrison's laughter, preserved forever in the 1903 photograph, continues to serve as a reminder of both childhood innocence and the depths of human evil. Her joy, captured in the reflection of a poison bottle designed to amuse her during her final moments, represents one of the most chilling examples of how appearances can deceive and how evil can hide behind the mask of family love. The photograph now bears a placard that reads, "Sometimes the brightest laughter comes from the darkest places." Rose Morrison's joy, captured here, was inspired by images her grandfather created specifically to mock her impending death. In remembering her laughter, we honor both her innocence and our responsibility to protect children from those who would exploit their trust.